Is it going?
Oh. Hey you guys, welcome to CCS. We're super excited that you're joining us here live. My name's Darcy.
My name's Faith.
And it's been a long time since we have done a live with you guys. So it is so good to be back here with you in the crab room. And especially going over your tanks. It's been, a long time.
Like a year. Yeah.
So you guys have been asking for this on all of our different platforms, and we keep saying, we'll do this. And so finally the girls are back from college for the holidays, and so we have the whole crew in the room today, and we're like, this will be a good time to get back with you guys and go over some tank reviews. So I'm so super excited to share that with you guys.
Yeah. So let's see, Darcy's been busy. She did breeding season over the summer. I think she just about died probably. You want to talk
Guys,
about
it was rough. Man, breeding season was really, really tough in a good way, like in a really good way. So we had a lot of success this summer. If you haven't heard, we were able to get exotic lilas to land, 2 different spawns actually, and purple pinchers to land as well this summer. And on top of that, I'm so excited. Like, we made huge strides in the breeding program in general. We mailed live Zoe. You guys, we had so many spawns. I could not keep up with it. All 3 of our chrysals were full, and the crabs were still spawning more. So, and we had been going on like 3 months of constant breeding. I was wearing out. I was beyond wearing out, actually. And so we were like, look, we have to try. Like, let's just save these guys. Let's see what happens if we mail them. So lo and behold, we went and talked to the people that kind of take care of the aquatics at PetSmart and Petco, you guys, like huge chain stores. And we were like, can you help us out? We're going to try this experiment. We're going to try to make history and mail live Zoe. And what we needed from them was fish bags to mail them in, and the oxygen that they use when you buy a fish. And you guys, they were like, yes, we want to be a part of that. So we did it, and we mailed purple pinchers first. They arrived, literally unharmed. There were no deaths through the whole thing, and we were able to give an experience to another crab keeper in raising hermit crabs. Unfortunately, they didn't get to land this time. You guys know it takes time, to perfect the process, and so that's okay. But that was huge. So now that we knew we could mail them, the next step was to try and mail exotics, which was pretty scary. Our Lila hermit crab mama was she was busy this summer, and so like I said, I was exhausted, and so we went ahead and mailed the Lila Zoe to Mary Acres, and they arrived completely safe, and she was able to get them to land also. So there are 3 spawns of Lilas on land that will be available for adoption in summer 2023. So exciting.
Yeah, Darcy put a lot of work in this summer. Brooke and I, which Brooke is behind the camera, we both worked, and so Darcy pretty much did breeding season all on her own, which was crazy. Good job, Mom. I've been busy at school. Brooke's been busy at school. Brooke is studying to become an engineer, in case you guys didn't know, and I am studying theater and education, and I'm actually student teaching right now. So I've been super exhausted all the time. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And last but not least, some of you might have caught this on our Instagram or our TikTok.
We have a new member of our little family. I recently had a birthday, and we have Wilhelmina. We thought we would share her with you guys. She did make an appearance in our last video, of course, but is she not the cutest?
Say hi, guys.
This is a teacup Yorkie, Wilhelmina Noel. And she is the sweetest little puppy. So now, I wasn't busy enough, so I needed something else to be busy with.
It's like actually having a toddler in the house. It's so crazy. We have multiple pack and plays for the dog. We always joked. We were like, "Oh, Mom, you're gonna become a purse dog. Mom, you're gonna become a purse lady, or a purse bag dog, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say." And she did. She carries the dog around in a purse with the toys and the pack and play, like having a child. But she's so cute.
If you had this in your hands, you would do the same thing.
That's true.
She's so cute.
She is so cute.
But we're going to let her go play because, she has a lot of energy. So
yeah, she wanted to go run. She just learned how to fetch and play chase.
Yeah.
So she's obsessed with that.
So cute. All right. So before we get into tanks, If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, you guys. I cannot express to you like how much that helps us out in keeping our channel going. So I know there's a lot of people out there, you watch a lot of videos, but the YouTube algorithm is crazy and subscribers make a difference. Watch time makes a difference, and we appreciate all of you guys that have been so loyal in making our channel successful so far. And ultimately our goal is to reach a lot of people. And I don't know if you know this, but our channel is worldwide now. We are in a lot of other countries, and so the information is getting out there. Our mission to educate and advocate for hermit crabs and proper care is working, and you guys are helping with that, so thank you so much. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, and click the bell so that when we drop new content, you'll be notified.
Yeah, and don't forget, we also have an Instagram and a TikTok. We do a lot of work over there, specifically on TikTok right now. We're really trying to push that out. Super easy platform to meet a lot of people on. So go check those out for sure. We have a lot of fun making TikToks. So
yeah, definitely. And we're actually going to do a Q&A at the end of this live, and we're going to go ahead and congruently be live on TikTok and live here on YouTube for the Q&A, so that we can kind of reach the questions of all of our viewers. So that'll be super fun. Towards the end, we will do that. Yep. But what you guys came here for are tank reviews. So we are going to go ahead and get started with that. Let me tell you guys, wow. There were so many submissions, first of all, so thank you for sending in your tanks and your pictures. That is amazing. My other daughter, who's not part of CCS actually, is the one that chose the tanks that we're going to review today, so that's kind of fun. She enjoyed looking through all of them and reading about your stories, and so yeah, that's how you got picked was by an outsider, which is kind of cool. So she was like, she wanted to hear more about the tanks that she chose. So let's get started with that. We've got pictures for you guys. So here we go. Okay.
Go crazy, Mom.
All right, so in the email that we received, it tells us that this is a tank that's 150 gallons. Heat and humidity stay around 80 and 80% using heat pads, which is great. They also added reflex insulation for the winter months. If you guys don't know about that, I'm so glad I mentioned that. Yeah. So in the winter, our tanks a lot of times can fluctuate and get a lot cooler, and those heat pads really work hard to keep your heat up. Using like a sunshade that you would put in your windshield of your car works great, or the reflex that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's, and you wrap the back of your tank with the reflex, and what that does is insulate it, so that all of that heat stays inside the glass instead of like penetrating on the outside. So if you haven't tried that and you're having a hard time keeping your heat up, that's a great thing to do. All right, so there's 10 inches of substrate, 5-to-1 ratio, 2.5 gallon pools, one fresh and one salt. It is filtered. Lots of driftwood, natural shells, cork bark, boxwood climbing walls, hamster wheel, variety of food choices, overhead lights. All right, awesome, and they hope to see us at CrabCon 2023. We'll have more about that in another time, but we're not going to talk about CrabCon today. All right, so let's take a look at this tank. First of all, I love how deep your substrate is.
Yeah, that's super great. It looks like a good 5-to-1 ratio there. The crabs, I mean, have tons of space here. What's it, a 70? Does it say?
150 gallon, but they have 9 crabs, so plenty of space. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm noticing a lot of foraging items on the top. You guys, we actually just put a video out about safe foraging. If you didn't catch that video, that's going to be the leaves and the wood and the cork rounds and things like that. And this tank has ample opportunity for the crabs to have some snacks there, which is super awesome.
Let's go to a new picture here. Oh, there's one of your little friends. And on the back, saucer,
in the wheel.
You know, we get this asked a lot, you guys. Is it better to have the standing up, hamster wheels, or the one like this, which is, I mean, it's not completely flat, but like the little tilted on the ground ones?
The saucers.
Saucers, thank you, Brooke. Yeah, the saucers. We've had both in our tank, and our crabs used them equally. I mean, it's really more, I think, what works for your tank space. Or, you can try it out, have one of each even. I know for us, we ended up adding a hamster wheel in several of our tanks because this one behind me was always overcrowded. So yeah, they just love to move. So it's a great thing to add to your tank.
Whatever fits.
Yeah,
it fits in your tank.
You can see here too some good moss, which is a great foraging item that we talked about in that video Faith was just talking about. Let's see what else we have.
Oh my gosh,
oh,
so
good.
Cute. So it looks here like Jenna has actually siliconed this little, what I would call a coconut condo, like a little apartment for crabs, to a piece of bark that she probably has on the back of her tank, if I would guess. The crabs love that. Each crab has a unique personality, you guys, and they kind of claim different parts of the tank. Right above us, right up here, we have what we call the crab shelf, and you guys have seen this in our TikToks, but we have a group of crabs that just stay there 24/7. That is their shelf. So I think this is so cute that she has a little crab that stays in her condo. That's a great idea. That's
yeah, and let's talk about the silicone real quick because that's another question we get a lot. So how do you adhere things to the tank? What is safe to use? And 100% silicone is a great great thing to use, but make sure you get the kind that does not have mold inhibitors. So you're just looking for 100% silicone. You can get that at your hardware store. Walmart has it as well. This is a clear one you can see, and I would suggest using clear. We used white at one point. That was a mistake.
Not cute.
You can definitely see it. So yeah, go with clear. We were able to find brown one time. It was at an Ace Hardware or something. It was the only place I've ever found it. Online you can probably get it, but brown is pretty cool too because obviously natural. So yeah, that is great. I love the cocoa condos as we call them. Oh good, there's the kind of a further out picture of it. You can see on the back wall.
I want to point out too, on that back wall, you see that she has a lot of this greenery. She has that purple plant, these green plants. Crabs love to climb. Now if you have super huge, massive crabs like we do, they might have a harder time climbing something like that, but our little crabs we have will climb the grass mats in the back of our tanks, just like kind of that purple plant you see there. They love to hide in it and climb all around it, hide behind it. So that's a great option.
Even if it's something they can't necessarily climb, I just think all of the nice foliage just makes it feel more like nature to them, and it just makes them feel more comfortable that they have these hiding places. So it's a great thing to add to your tank for sure. Okay. Her pools. All right, so something I want to point out here, which is awesome, she has an easy way in and out of her pools using craft mesh. Craft mesh is super inexpensive and very versatile. We have craft mesh in all of our tanks. It's actually what we use in between the tanks for them to bridge and climb over. We also use sticks, logs, and things like that as well. But craft mesh is great because they can easily climb it. It's not going to get moldy, and like I said, it's affordable. So you can order that online. I was able to find some at our Hobby Lobby. For some reason, our Michaels doesn't carry it, but anyways, it's called Craft Mesh. It comes in a lot of different colors, which is a lot of fun as well. But in your pools, a lot of times people ask, isn't it dangerous to have deep pools? Crabs don't really swim. Can they drown? Yeah. They can. They can drown, you guys. I mean, they can stay under the water for a long time, hours even, and that's not going to hurt them. And sometimes they do that, but they do need to have a very easy way to climb in and out of the water, or they can drown. So make sure that you're offering that at all times. You can also see that her filters here are under the top of the pool, the height of the pool. So like if this is the top of the rim of your pool, you don't want your filters up here because they can get tipped by the crabs. Your crabs are a lot stronger than you might think that they are. And so we always suggest that you keep your filters down below that rim to keep from having a flood. Just imagine if your filter tipped back just enough and the water was sucking up from your pool and just spilling right out into your substrate, you'd have a flood really quickly.
We get a lot of questions about bubblers, which I actually don't see in this pool, which she has filters, so that makes sense.
She does, I think, if I read
she does have bubblers.
Yeah.
Well, we get a lot of questions about filters and bubblers. You guys, check out our advanced water care video. We go through literally every option under the sun for you. We link direct products. If you think filters or bubblers for you, absolutely go check out that video. I also really quickly wanted to touch on the craft mesh that we were talking about earlier. We even use that on our reel. We won't go through how we did that. However, it is so easy for the crabs to climb, and it really encourages them to climb in certain areas that they might not be comfortable climbing otherwise. So,
yeah,
a great tool.
A couple of easy things to think about are zip ties and silicone. So if that's something that you want, those are two ways to kind of adhere that. But and then also, well, not in this one. So I think there will be one in another picture maybe. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, so great pools, very good.
Oh, you see what I've done, guys? I'm not very good at technology. So that was the last picture. But I do want to go back to picture 1 real quick. Because you can see in the bottom right hand corner she has shells of many different sizes and options. Kudos to you for that. Remember guys, you should be having multiple shells per crab in your tank so you don't get any fights about houses for them. Yes, Brooke, we have a question.
We got a donation from Patty's Petite Tank.
Thank you, Patty. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys, donations are going to go towards our breeding program so we can continue to bring you guys content about breeding. We can continue to learn more and more about the hermit crabs.
Sustain the program.
Yeah, we're not gonna lie to you. Breeding is really, really expensive, and donations are so helpful. That's how we can continue to do it, and we really appreciate that. So thank you, Patty. Thank you
so much. Something else real quick, guys. I just noticed in this picture, you can see these horizontal bars in her tank. So a lot of times people ask, how are things hanging in your tanks? That's how. We use tension rods. They're very inexpensive. We get the smallest tension rod at Walmart. Yeah. And then we wrap it in jute rope. Just make sure you're getting all natural. It doesn't have like a chemical smell. It hasn't been dyed and that sort of thing. And we wrap it around there, and then we use zip ties to adhere it to the bar at the very end so that it doesn't come unraveled. And it just goes across any size tank you have because they're tension rod. You just twist them until they fit. And then now you have vertical climbing space, things that you can hang. It just adds a whole nother level to your tank, which is a lot of enrichment for your hermit crabs. So overall, I would say this tank is spot on. Like,
yes,
I'm super excited. You guys, this is awesome. If you need some great ideas, you can get them right here from this tank for sure. Thank you so much for submitting it.
Thank you, Jenna. Your tank is gorgeous. All right, you guys, so the next submission that we have is coming to us from Allison Mark Brandt. I hope I said that right. All right, so here's the first picture we have of Allison's tank. Let's go over some specs that she sent in to us first.
Okay, so they became crab parents 6 months ago, and they have a 12x12 Exoterra that they got at a yard sale. Has always wanted hermit crabs, so that's really cool. Over 35 years of wanting that. So let's see. They have a 30-gallon base tank, and then the Exoterra has been transformed to the topper. I love that. 4 purple pinchers. Manu and Marley. They're large. Let's see. 2 are rescued. Pip and Squeak.
Oh, Pip Squeak. That's cute.
So they get a variety of fresh food changed out nightly. They have moss, green sand, worm castings, foraging materials, oyster shells offered all the time. Those are all the things that we mentioned in our forage video. So I love that you're doing that, you guys. That's so great. It's rewarding. I don't know, for me, I'm sure it's for Faith.
Yeah.
It's rewarding when we get to read things like this and see your tanks. And you guys are following along with our recommendations, and I hope that you guys are noticing a huge difference in the behavior of your crabs, how active they are, and just their overall health as well. So
yeah, we get asked all the time, how can I make my crabs more active? My crabs just sit on the sand all day. What do I do? Watch our video about how to have an active hermit crab. Watch our foraging videos. Listen to our food guides. You guys, our crabs are super active, and the reason we give you the advice we do is because we find that it works, and I really hope that you guys that are taking our advice are seeing that as well. Absolutely.
I love seeing it. Okay, so they're slowly getting acclimated still because they're new, which is that makes sense. It takes time for your crabs to get healthy, honestly. So be patient with them. All right.
Perfect. Let's have a
total
look.
fan. I love it. Okay. So this is what I was going to actually talk to you guys about in the last video, or in the last tank review, and I was like, wait, I think we have some coming up. Okay, in these pools, she's also using craft mesh, but she is putting it on top of light filter. So any of you that have wondered, what is that stuff that I keep seeing in tanks? It's like a grid looking material that's plastic. That is called light filter. So you can get this at your local hardware stores. It's not easy to find, and most of the employees don't know what it's called. Honestly, we looked forever in our own hardware store. But if you go to where the fixtures are for fluorescent lighting, that's where they are kept. And they are huge, huge sheets of it. And so I don't know, I didn't picture it being like big like that. So
Yeah.
I guess I was probably walking past it over and over, not realizing what I was looking at. Anyways, it's really easy to work with. It's easy. You can heat it and melt it a little bit, or you can just snip it and use zip ties. You can see here she created a great way in and out of her pools. The crabs are never going to get stuck in that pool. That is awesome. I love it.
I also just want to point out, I mean, I know we haven't looked at all the other pictures yet, but they've only had crabs for 6 months, and this is leaps and bounds better than where we were when we had crabs for just 6 months. Like, guys,
Yeah.
I wish we would have included pictures of what our first tanks. Actually, I'm glad we didn't, because it's embarrassing. So good. Well, everyone starts somewhere, but good on you,
That's the
Allison.
journey.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's the
For
journey.
starting out with this. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Lots
look
of
at
climbing vines. You can see natural wood. You know what else I love is next to her pools you guys can see moss. So that is a great place to put your moss because it will naturally absorb any kind of splash over that you have. Plus, when your crabs are in the water and they come out of the water, they tend to kind of like drag some of that with them, or some of the water falls off their shell. And so maybe you've noticed that around your pool the substrate gets a little bit more damp. So moss around your pools is a great idea.
Yep, I'm seeing here, it looks like a good substrate. I can't quite tell from this picture, but that looks like a good substrate depth. I'm assuming your crabs are probably a little bit smaller. I'm sure we'll find out here in a second. Also at the top of the screen, you guys, we can see this black wire. That looks like it's connected to a thermostat. A thermostat probe, which what that's for is you'll connect it to a thermostat and it will read the temperature in your tank. And it will automatically adjust your heat mats to heat up the tank, or maybe if it needs to cool off a little bit depending on where your tank is at, so that your hermit crabs aren't getting too hot or too cold. You don't have to worry about doing that yourself. It will take care of it. That's a great tool.
Yeah, and it's Christmas, so if you don't have one of those and you want one, put it on your Christmas list because it is a little bit more expensive, but so worth it. It just takes so much of the worry and hassle out of trying to figure out, is my heat mat doing the right thing? Do I need to turn it on? Especially in Texas, our tanks can get really kind of warm, so our thermostats will just cut them off if it gets too hot. So, Is there another question?
Well, Allison is here.
Hi,
and
Allison.
She said that she learned from us.
Awesome.
Oh, yay.
All right, so actually, let's see, there's a video that she sent, so let's take a look at this video.
We got, really quick, we got another donation from Patty. We got $3 from Patty.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Patty.
Patty. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your support.
I love the Scrabble letters. I know that has anything to do with the tank.
Wait, I
That's
want to
so cute.
start this video. Oh, I see. Now we're getting in. Okay. Okay, yep. Thermostat. There we go. Perfect. You guys can see that there. The bridge.
Fresh food. There's her foraging mixes she was talking about. Saucer.
Another saucer. Wow, I'm loving that corner back there with all that foraging.
Nice. And she has the light filter on the side to help them climb up into this topper. Tons of natural shells, you guys. Great moss in your coconut, your cocoa huts. We do that as well.
Tons of shells there.
Okay, so you have the cork bark background is what I was seeing there.
Play it again.
You can play it again, you can rewind, and you can pause. If you see below the video, there's a little mark.
Play it again.
So,
I want it again.
There we go.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I love how we start with the little crab sticker. Okay, you guys pay attention. You see that topper there? That's a great way to get extra space. We do have some videos on that as well if you're feeling like your crabs need a little more climbing room.
I also love that she has a heat mat on the topper. We have that on ours as well. We don't often have to use them, but in the winter, you guys, sometimes you do need a little bit extra heat because of the extra space. Also, Exoterras make great toppers. Obviously, you can see them behind us. That's all we use because the front access is just perfect. You can get them used on Facebook Market, Craigslist, and that sort of thing. Keep your eye out because they can be really expensive brand new. I just think this is awesome. Like,
We have some more pictures too.
I cannot even get over that you've only been doing this for 6 months.
Yeah, same. Another
Look
one
at
of
the color
those
on that crab. That's awesome.
coconut huts that we had in our last submission.
Yeah.
You can see they're popular with the crabs. They're called hermits for a reason, so they do like their solitude. Too cute. Okay, let's see what else do we have going on here. A great piece of wood here. Once again, crabs love to climb. In my opinion, in our tanks, that's one of my favorite ways that we provide for crabs to get in and out of the toppers. We have huge pieces of bark and wood and cholla wood and cork round. The crabs can eat it. They can go inside of it. Sometimes they just break it off and they don't even eat it, and then it's in the dirt and some other crab comes along and picks it up. I mean, it's a great resource for your crabs. And it's just like the
Even
wild.
if you don't have a topper, I would still suggest some type of, branch like that to help your crabs climb, because it's just part of their natural instincts to want to do that.
Here's that corner I was talking about. Now that I'm seeing this substrate, that's for sure right where we're looking for it to be, and that's a great consistency, you guys. I just want to harp on this. We say the 5-to-1 substrate, place sand to eco earth, and people, I so often see substrate still be really dark. You're not really looking for it to be super dark. It's still gonna look like sand with that 5-to-1. I mean, look at ours. Like, this is probably better. That looks like sand. You can see here Allison's looks like sand. So fear not if it doesn't look like dirt. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
And this corner just looks so fun. Great foraging items back there. Great hiding space, climbing.
You are doing a fantastic job, Allison. I do have one suggestion for you. Oh, well, let me back up real quick. On this picture, you guys, the bridge that she's using, you can see she's attaching it to the light filter using zip ties. That's exactly how we do it as well. It is best to keep those off of the substrate because the wood and the rope can get mildewy or moldy if it's on the substrate itself. So it is best to use those up in the air as climbing structures away from your pools. Same thing with the lizard loungers and things like that. I'm not sure if we have any of those in the tanks today, but what I did want to say is one suggestion for you. I love that you have a thermostat. I would move it, if you can, closer to the middle of your tank. So I know that can get kind of difficult, suction cups or a zip tie of some way that you can adhere it to the brace of your tank maybe, because you really want to get your reading to be in the central part of the tank. Now obviously you will have some range as that goes out, which is perfectly fine because hermit crabs see a range in nature, but it is the best way to get a good gauge on what your heat and humidity is in your tank. So try and find the middle spot there as best possible. Otherwise, you are doing a great job. Thank you for sending in your tank.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I do want to, did we get them all? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Let's come back here. Oh. Why, guys? This is not my gift. I'll tell you what. Oh, here we go. Bam! This is my gift. Okay. Let's see. So thank you, Allison, for your submission. Our next one. Oh, you're gonna be the one to say this, not me.
Is it Crystalline?
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 That
Crystalline?
is crystalline. Oh, it's
Crystalline?
crystalline.
Crystalline?
Crystalline.
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 I'm sorry, we're butchering your name.
If you are on this chat,
Help us out.
give us a phonetic spelling, please. We don't want to keep watching your name. I'm so excited for this one. Oh.
Okay.
What? Hold on. Let me put us back on.
Okay.
Bam.
Wow. Like, what in
You
the
guys. Oh. Hold on. Don't worry, guys. I'm a tech wizard, and I'm going to fix... Bam.
I mean, I don't know about you guys if y'all's jaws just dropped, but wow.
Can you imagine
This-
being a hermit crab in this tank? I want to be one.
I think we
Okay.
could fit in there.
She is commented and she says, "It's okay. It's Crystalline."
Crystalline, yay.
Crystalline. Hello, Crystalline.
Look at what you have created. Oh my goodness. Wow. I am like,
Obsessed. This is awesome.
this is awesome. Okay, we do have some specs here
yeah.
on the email, so let me share with you guys. So they built this tank a year ago, and they're actually going to be rebuilding one like it with some revamps.
Okay.
This was more of the experiment. They wanted to see how it worked. So they have, let's see, it is called Crablantis. Awesome.
Duh.
It is 8 feet long, 3.5 feet front to back, and 4.5 feet tall. There's 18 inches of substrate. Amazing. It's heated using dimmable thermostat controlled ceramic heat emitter bulbs and dimmable Arcadia Tropical UVB lights. We talk about lights, you guys, in a video about lights. So UVB is not necessary, but it's definitely something you can use to enhance. It's safe for your hermit crabs, so either one is perfectly fine. The interior is 100% waterproof with Pond Shield epoxy, and which is non-toxic and safe for the hermit crabs. They have 10-gallon filtered pools for their, 10-gallon filtered pool and 5-gallon saltwater pool. Okay, so yeah, freshwater and saltwater. All right, so they plan on rebuilding this coming this spring. They're going to use sliding doors instead of the ones that are pictured here because they've had some issues with them. And they're going to install an entire background as well, and then also work on the exterior, she says too. So wow, I am just
blown away.
Yeah.
Let's look at some more pictures. Hold on.
Really crazy. So some close-ups, awesome.
Close up here. So yeah, can y'all see my mouse, or is this okay? Never mind. So you can see kind of in the middle left a basket that you could find at the dollar store, at Walmart. We use those in many of our early tanks as shell shops, and we would put a lot of shells in there, or we even made them into moss pits. We would put moss and lichen, and the crabs would sit in it. Kind of similar to the coconut hut, honestly. That's a great hack, especially if you are balling on a budget. That is certainly something that the crabs will enjoy, like a little bed for them.
And they're really easy to attach because they have those slats.
Yeah.
So zip ties are your best friend. And you can see here the light filter is used quite a bit. I'm telling you, if you want to create levels, if you need to create a platform for a pool, you can even cut a hole in the light filter and drop your pool into it. I mean, there are so many things you can do with that stuff, you guys. And again, craft mesh also is going to be your best friend. Those are great ways to add a lot of different dimension to your tank that will have just add a lot of enrichment. So she's using the wood bridges too, and you can see lizard loungers in the back in this picture, which I was telling you guys about before. We use lizard loungers in our tanks. We have several of them. We've had them in here for years. Are they often complained about growing mold? Yes. And can they easily? Yes. And have we experienced that? Yes. So if that's not something you want to deal with, then just stay away from them. There's so many other things that you can do and use. But if it's something that you really like and you want to include that in your tank, this is my advice to you. Keep it off the substrate, completely off the substrate. Keeping it hung in the air is going to keep it from getting all that moisture from your substrate. You need to use another way to help your crabs get into those lizard loungers. So like the light filter or craft mesh or a plant or these ladder bridge type things. Those are all great ways to help them get up into the lizard lounger. And the other thing that I would suggest is keep them away from your pools. So cornering your lizard lounger over your pool, especially if you have bubblers or a filter, is going to cause...
You're going to get molded.
Yeah, it's just, all that moisture from your pool is getting up into that net. So they do make green mesh lizard loungers, which I haven't heard any complaints about as far as getting mold. And so that's an option too if you still want that look, but you don't want to mess with, with the mold issue.
Well, I have a suggestion again, so just let me know.
Go for it.
Okay, what's your suggestion?
Well, so in the email it says that she uses a ceramic heat emitter, which is, you know what that is?
Yes.
So, I'll just touch on that.
Yes. So that is definitely something that we have never suggested using in our videos. I definitely think that this would be something for a more advanced crab keeper. And you guys heard here that this was an experiment. So there's definitely going to be some modifications being made because of the sealing of the doors and not being able to keep heat and humidity in properly, which is why they're going to rebuild. There's really nothing wrong with experimenting if you are an advanced keeper and you have pretty good background and you know what a stable environment is. Then you can experiment with a few things. We wouldn't be where we are now as a crab community if people weren't willing to experiment with some things. So I am not going to throw Crystalline under the bus at all. Clearly she has some knowledge behind her here, okay? So, but I do want to say, you guys listening, please leave these advanced methods for people who have a lot of experience in animal keeping, crab keeping, and things like that. People who have the means to try something and when it doesn't work, make the changes that are needed so that the crabs don't suffer, okay? So yeah, I think we wouldn't be breeding hermit crabs if we weren't willing to take some risks. Let's be honest with that, right? And look at what we've accomplished and how far that our hobby has come because of it. So yeah, let's leave it at that. If you are new to crab keeping or even moderate to crab keeping, heat mats are the go-to. I mean, you can count on them. It's been, proven.
Reuse them.
Yeah, it's been proven by many crab keepers for many, many years. So you can't go wrong with using the heat mats. Yeah. Obviously, she has a much different setup here, so she needed to find a different way to heat. And she's monitoring all of that appropriately and making adjustments as needed. So,
yep.
All right, so let's go to another, lots of climbing here, like amazing. I feel like a little jungle moment here for them.
I do want to point out, if you look at the bottom right of the screen, it looks like, gosh, maybe I need to get closer. It looks like another one of those tubs, maybe a deeper one, and it looks like she has shells and things like that in there, another shell shop. But that is sunk into her substrate, okay, guys? And that's great. That's a great use of space. When you have enough space for your crabs to molt, obviously she does. She has, what was it, Crablantis?
Yeah.
Something.
Crablantis.
So she has the space to dig things in. If that's something you want to do, just make sure that your crabs have enough space. Additionally, I just want to remind everyone, we've talked about this in multiple videos, if you are digging things into your substrate, like a pool, like this here shell shop, you need to make sure that it is either sitting on the base of your tank or it is sitting on some other kind of base that is sitting on the base of your tank. Because if it's just being held up by the substrate, you've just dug in a little hole and set it on top of substrate, when your crabs are digging their tunnels, there is a huge chance that it could collapse and kill a crab. And that's the sad reality of it.
They like to dig under for sure. Now there is 18 inches of substrate here as well. So I know like the depth of that basket's not taking up too much. There's still like probably 10 or more inches underneath that basket. But yeah, what Faith is saying is just know that your crabs love to dig, and that especially underwater pools and things like that. So think ahead. Be proactive as you build your tanks and thinking, what if a crab dug under here? What could possibly happen, and how could I prevent danger, flooding, and that sort of thing? As well as just being able to do your basic tank maintenance. If you double up those types of containers, you can safely lift the top one out to clean or replace or whatever, and you still have the bottom one holding the substrate in place. So those are some things to think about.
All right, let's take a look at another photo here. We have another angle. If you turn your head, you can see it. We have a wheel in this top right corner. This is different from those saucer wheels that we had in the last two submissions. This is one of those full go round
vertical
wheels.
ones. Yeah.
I want to point out, and Crystalline has this perfect here. There are no holes or slats or grids in this wheel. It is a complete plastic ring. Crabs have little legs. They get caught in things. They can get really easily ripped off. So you want to make sure whatever wheel you have is completely solid.
Yeah.
That's another use for craft mesh as well.
Yeah, definitely. If you get the wire ones, first of all, you need to be very careful because again, it's a very humid environment, and so the metal can rust very easily in those wire wheels. But if that's what you have and it's not rusting and that's what you're using, craft mesh can bridge the gap between all those slats. So. Great use of the light filter here to create a lot of levels. Guys, they have so much to climb and explore. Like, what crab's going to be bored in this place? It's amazing. So much space. You think about aggression and fighting, which we have a video about. Part of that is being overcrowded. You need to give them space to feel like they have room for themselves and all the resources that they need for each individual crab. That's why it's important to not overcrowd your tanks. And to have tanks that are big enough. Like once you put all this stuff in there, they still need room to live. So I love that they have all this space. It's amazing.
Yep. We see another use of the bucket here. This is like a shower caddy. I like that. I've actually never seen that before. With a ramp up into the caddy, add some more space. Once again, you just want to make sure if you're putting really heavy things on top of your tank like that, make sure it's really dug into the sand, or if it needs to be supported by a shelf or anything, that it is. Okay, let's see here. Another angle. Oh, there's so much climbing. I'm obsessed. Oh, these mats. What are these called?
Those are cocoa core mats or flats. We have used those in the past in several of our tanks. We actually did have some trouble with them molding, but we again used them as a background that went down to the sub. So as long as, like here, Crystaline's got them up off of the substrate, and they're even covering the light filter, which has holes, so lots of airflow is available there. So I don't think she's probably going to have any trouble with molding there. Just keep an eye on it. But if that's something that you are using in your tank and it's on your substrate, you might have a problem with molding. So
Yeah.
And she's got some good millet up there for foraging. If you aren't familiar with millet, it's up there on that top right-hand corner sitting on the flat. You can find that in your bird section, and hermit crabs love millet. It's just something that you can keep in your tank at all times. Lots of good foliage. There's
And
a cutie.
crab. Look at the great color on this crab, you guys. That speaks for itself.
Yeah,
It just does.
and little chunky legs. I love it when they're healthy, getting a great diet, and they have the humidity and all the resources that they need, you guys. Their little legs start getting chunky. I love it.
Yeah.
Super cute. Crystalline, thank you so much for sharing your tank. I'm blown away. I'm so excited to see the upgraded one that you guys create in the spring. Please send us pictures. Yes.
Yes.
That is really, really exciting. And again, if you haven't been, please share all of your research on using those different methods of heating, because we all learn from each other, and that's part of the journey. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
All right, you guys, we have just one more submission for you guys today. And once again, I just want to thank everyone that submitted. We got tons and tons, you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't do all of the submissions we got, so we're just going to have to start doing these videos when we can in these lives, and thank you for joining us for them. Our next submission comes to us from Caroline. This is the first first image Caroline has sent in for us, and then we're going to read you guys the message she included, and I'm going to fix the camera while we do that.
She's been waiting for us to do one of these, so I'm so excited that we're featuring your tank today. I'm glad we could make it to your tank. She's joining us from Canada, so woohoo, that's exciting as well. She has 8 hermit crabs purple pinchers now for 2 years. That's amazing. The current setup that we're looking at is 80 gallons long with a 40-gallon Exoterra topper. She has 2.5-gallon saltwater and freshwater pools. And let's say, okay, so she had just done some tank cleaning and accidentally took off her humidity and temp reader. So I think she added another picture with it though. But she said she'd be here in the stream, so I hope, Caroline, that you are watching. Thank you so much for sending us your tank. Let's get into it. So right now you can see a great shot of her pools. These are actually, you guys, critter keepers, which is probably what your hermit crabs came in from the beach shop. Probably not PetSmart, but maybe even the mall or something like that. These are the critter keepers that have the little tops on them.
Mm-hmm. We use these in many of our first tanks before we switched to the big room.
So these work great. I would say you want to use these if you have a filtered pool. They don't stack very well, so if this is something you're wanting to take out to replace on a weekly basis, they might not be the best option. Like Tupperware would probably work better for that. But if you're going to filter your pools, these work out really, really well. And you can see that hers are filtered. She's got also, looks like air stones in there, so you can see the tubing. I love the bridge she's using. It's what we use in all of our tanks. And by the way, that is the best way in and out we have found for breeding, so be careful. The crabs get really comfortable on that little bridge. It is also the bridge that in our breeding that our itty bitty Megalopa babies first come to land on. You can see in this picture there's a little tiny hole in the bridge, which looks really natural. But for the babies, we actually do cover that. We silicone a shell. Because could you imagine being a little Megalopa that gets your first shell on? You're working so hard and then right through that hole. Anyway, so just a little side note. But those bridges are great. We find ours at PetSmart, you guys. They're a little bit expensive, but they're going to last you forever. And in my opinion, well worth the investment. Mm-hmm. You do have to have a bigger pool because they are kind of long. You can also see on the left is her saltwater pool, a sand dollar in there, rocks, maybe even some coral, some nice live saltwater plants. Man, it's slipping my mind what that's called, but we actually use that reddish purple.
Live rock?
No, it's the plant that they ate. Oh my goodness.
I can't remember either.
Okay, Caroline, if you're in the stream, tell us what that plant is. It's a live plant. We used it in the breeding, actually. I put it in the transition tank. And then Megalopa loved it. Oh my goodness. I actually ended up sending it as a food source when we mailed the lilas to Mary, and it worked out really great. Anyway, so those pools look beautiful.
Yep. Okay, I also, let's see, I literally just had something that I want to point out. Now I'm hashtag forgetting.
Lots of natural shells in the back. Let's see if there's some other pictures. We can get some closer up. There we go.
Oh.
Okay, now you guys can see the topper.
See it, this is what I was going to say. Notice how her pools are dug down all the way to the bottom. We do this in our pools as well. They literally touch the bottom. That's what I was talking about in that last video. This is a really clear view of that. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what else I was going to say. We get comments all the time, you guys, on YouTube about how do you clean out your pools? How do you clean out your pools? Which, if you guys want, we can do a video on that for you guys. Just let us know. We use a siphon, so of course we have filtered pools and we have air stones, so we don't have to do it as often. But when the big cleaning day comes, we have a big siphon and a huge bucket from Home Depot, and that's how we do it. I don't know, Caroline, if that's how you do your pools, or if you take them out or redig the hole. I'm not sure. But if you don't know about the siphon,
Yeah, a siphon works out great. And actually, if you have smaller pools, you guys, I've heard people using turkey basters to suck out the water.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, great way. So, all right, so on here you can see nice deep substrate. It's on the height of her pool, so I know that that's a good probably 8 inches almost at least. Natural shells on the right hand side. You can also see some nice foraging with the wood. And those dishes, looks like some worm castings in there as well. Worm castings is worm poop, guys. If you're not offering that to your crabs are missing out. They love worm poop. And you can get that in the gardening section at your local hardware store as well. It has the saucer wheel, so great for exercise. You can see she's using lizard lounger material, but it's more of the like climbing bridge, maybe is what it's called. Again, look at how it's off the substrate. I can't stress this enough because we see this so often. You know, CCS said we can use this, and I'm having mold. Yes, you can use it, and yes, they will mold, but just keep them up off the substrate, and it'll be better. Also, you can see that she doesn't really start it until the end of her pools instead of starting it over the top of her pools. So. That's great.
She has a nice saucer in there. I've actually never seen a clear one. That's kind of fun. I wonder where you got that from. And then that long bendy stick thing, if it is what I think it is, it might be a natural stick, I don't know. But they have, I don't know if y'all heard that bark, Wilhelmina wants in. She can hear Mom talking. That's that what do they call it?
Vine. It's some kind of vine. Reptivine, yeah.
Yeah. We've used those before a couple times. I'm curious to know your thoughts on it, Caroline. I know for sure I remember the crabs didn't really climb it for us. I don't know if they didn't feel secure on it. Did yours? What did you think
it's interesting. So we started off originally with one that was brown colored and kind of foam texture, and the crabs definitely picked at it, and so we ended up taking that out of our tank. We did that on our Chewy review. Then we went to more of the black one, which is kind of more of a sandpaper texture. And we've had that in our 90-gallon tank where Mary's original captive breds are that we've had, and so they're still pretty small. So we figured if they wanted to climb, they could easily. But to be honest with you, they don't climb it a whole lot. So I'm interested to see, Caroline, what your experience is. I would just give you a suggestion. I would add some natural branches up into that topper, even if you keep the vine, because there's nothing wrong with the vine, guys. It's totally safe. But if you're not seeing them use the topper that much, it could be why. They need some more sturdy, stable ways to get up in there and be up in there. Also, if you want, you could add like a cork background. Use the tension rods we were talking about in that topper where you could hang some of those coconut huts or hang a ladder or something like that, just to help them use that vertical space, because it's amazing that you have it.
Yeah.
Let's help those crabs get up there and actually use that space.
Yeah, I was talking about earlier in the live stream, our crab shelf, you guys, that's in a topper, and it's literally just lines of, what is this called, bark, that they just sit on, that we've cholla wood, that's what it is, that we've just siliconed to what we call a custom 3D background. Caroline, we have a video about that. That's totally something that you could do to really elevate this space. and give more area for your crabs to climb. I also did want to point out, you guys, really quickly, notice how she has a light in the topper and on the main base of her tank. As we all know, crabs need 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness for their natural rhythms just to live.
Yep.
And I love that she included that light up at the top of the tank. I often see people with toppers who don't, and it gets really dark up there. So that's great. That's a great thing to think about should you do a topper. We have a comment from Brooke.
Yeah, so she's in the chat and she said that it's a macroalgae, little plant in the water from one of
Okay,
the
a microalgae in the salt water. Yep.
And she also added that she grows chia seeds in her worm castings.
Awesome.
Oh, in her worm castings.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Okay, so chia seeds you can feed your hermit crabs just as it is in their little food dish. But what Caroline's saying is that she actually plants them in the worm castings. Remember we were saying it's worm poop. You get it in the gardening section of your hardware store. And so it's a great place to plant those chia seeds, put a little bit of water in there, and they'll actually grow sprouts, which are really healthy for your hermit crabs, and they absolutely love them. So that is a great idea, Caroline. I love that you're doing that.
Man, I wish we did that more. We used to do that in our old tanks, and it was my favorite thing because it would look like the crabs were mowing. Like we would grow chia seeds, and then they would be gone in a day. So that is a super good hack, and it brings cute foliage to your tanks.
Yeah, absolutely. One other suggestion I can give you, not that you're doing this wrong, so don't take that way, but just you have a lot of open space in the front part of your tank, and probably because you want to see your crabs. But we have learned just over the years that if we create a lot of spaces where the crabs can go in and out throughout the tank, instead of putting everything towards the back, that they feel safe. There's not, because think on the beach, right? They are prey animals. And so if they're out in the open on the beach, they can be seen easily by the seagulls. So if they have foliage or rocks or a log or a stick or even your shell shop, if you can create a maze or a labyrinth of items throughout the tank, your crabs always feel like no matter where they are, there's a quick place that they can dart behind or dart under, and they're going to be safe. And so you'll actually see them being more active when that is available to them.
On that same vein, I would maybe recommend sprinkling some foliage towards the front to entice them to come forward, maybe. Some leaf litter, some feathers. We have all kinds of stuff behind us. I mean, it's not as beautiful looking, it's not as clean and pretty looking, but it really does encourage the crabs to come forward. I also wanted to ask, does she say anything about a heat source? I'm wondering if it's behind the installation there?
I'm assuming, I don't have anything on the email, so I'm assuming you do, though. You're in Canada, so you would have to be heating this thing. But yeah, you might want to add one actually to that topper if you're having a hard time keeping your heat and humidity up. Those things work together. You have a good size pool for your size tank. That's something to keep in mind too, you guys. If your pools are too big for your size tank, for one, it's taking up too much space in your tank. But also you could have too high of humidity, which is over time going to saturate your substrate and cause flooding. If you have too little of a pool for your size tank, you're not going to get enough humidity, and you could constantly be battling with that, which also means your substrate is probably going to be too dry, which is dangerous for molting. So you really do want to find that good balance between the right size pool for your size tank. And you absolutely do need to have that heat element, because the water and heat together is what creates the humidity that you need. So being in Canada, knowing it's very, very cold during the winter months, you might want to add a heater to that topper as well. I see reflex on the back, I think, so I'm guessing that's where your heat mat is. But also, I noticed that your gauge is maybe on the glass of your tank. I would just encourage you again, like the earlier tank, the closer you can get your gauge to the middle of the tank up off the substrate, the better you will have readings of what's actually happening inside of your tank.
Just get a couple more views here. I really like this log with the plant coming out. Is that a real plant? That's gotta be, right? That looks so realistic.
There are some safe plants that you can have in your tanks, you guys, and actually in our foraging video, I believe we linked to that in our description. Something to keep in mind is you don't want to plant them within the substrate because the roots will grow down, and as you probably know, hermit crabs can molt for months. We just had one of our brevies, I'm not even kidding you, A whole year. This brevy went
We
down.
thought he was a goner.
Yeah. I mean, he went down at Christmas last year and came up last month. It blew my mind. I could not even believe it. Anyway, so imagine a plant growing a root system underneath your substrate
For a year.
For a year around that molting crab. So if you're going to have real plants, they need to be planted in their own pot. I would use craft mesh on the top of your pot so that a crab can't go and molt inside of that plant pot. And obviously you need to make sure that they're safe plants. And also know, guys, they will eat them and destroy them in a day or two. So be ready to constantly be changing those out. Also make sure that they're pesticide free. So you might have to actually, keep them out of your tank for a good while to. That's so cute.
Guys, look how cute this crab is. Look at that hair. That is a great sign of a healthy crab. When a crab comes up from a molt and they have those chunky legs and bright color and they are hairy like that, you know that is a healthy crab. Caroline, you're doing a great job. Brooke.
Updates from her. She says she does have heat mats across the back.
Okay.
The photo's taken in the summer, but she covers it completely in full backing in the winter. And she has a battery backup because the winters are cold. And also her plants are all in double cups.
Awesome.
She's doing it right.
Very
you guys,
good.
Caroline is doing it right. Great. And we can see right here. Oh, that's interesting now. She has it silicone to the front. That looks like that might be up in her topper. Just something to think about here, Caroline. Just like we said with the last submission, I think whatever is reading your temperature, you want to be as close to the center of your tank as you can get it. Remember, heat rises, you're up in the topper, you might be getting a hotter read than the rest of your tank is. Just something to think about. I know it's annoying to put it in the middle of the tank because it's not aesthetically pleasing and the crabs will knock it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We put ours on, do we have one behind us? No. Well, we put ours, oh guys, wait, I'll move. Can you see them?
It's near the camera.
Oh. We'll show you after I do this thought. We put ours on these little saucers, so they're up off the substrate. I'm scaring the brevies.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
well, they're
actually
gone.
the one that just came up.
Can you even see them?
Can you see them?
No, they're
Yeah.
like right there.
Can you move the camera a little?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the brevy I was just telling you about that was molting for a year. The one that's in the little shell shop right there.
This one.
Isn't that incredible? Like, that
I
is
can
so
go back
crazy.
to the other camera so it's bigger.
Oh, duh.
There we go.
Hi, friend.
There's a bigger brevy behind. They were both out just a second ago. Anyway. All right. Well, that was an amazing tank as well. You're doing a lot of great things. Thank you so much for submitting all the way from Canada. I love that. And we learned a lot from you. You guys, tank reviews are some of my favorite things to do. For one, I love to see your tanks. I love to see all the creativity. I love to see everybody on their own journey. We've talked about this a lot. We're here to support each other. We're here to be encouraging. We're here to learn from each other. And I hope that the tanks we shared with you tonight gave you some new ideas, got you thinking about some things you can add in your tank or make some good changes in your tank to benefit your hermit crabs. Ultimately, I would say of all the tank submissions we've had, I was blown away at the improvement. Yes,
Yeah.
like almost every submission we got this time had tanks that looked so good. Like, it just warms my heart to know that hermit crabs all over the world are receiving the care that they deserve and that they need. And y'all are doing such an amazing job. I wish we had all the time to go over all of them. But if you submitted a tank for this review, you guys, we did look at them and they were amazing. We just really appreciate you sharing.
Yep. We looked at every single one.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah.
And
I actually couldn't pick them, which is why I had Emma do it. I was like, they're so good. I just don't even know which ones to pick. And so I was like, somebody else has to do this. So Emma is the one that ended up picking them. But anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to submit. We really, really enjoyed looking through them. And y'all are awesome.
yeah, for real. And you guys, keep your eye out for more videos or live streams like this. We know that you guys enjoy these videos. And now that I am student teaching, which I just happen to be student teaching pretty close to kind of this area, so we are hopefully going to bring you guys more tank reviews. We're going to keep asking for your submissions. Another great reason to follow our Instagram. That's where we sound the alarm that we're looking for tank submissions if you didn't get to submit yours this time. So yeah.
All right, let's go into our Q&A. You want to invite our TikTok friends along?
Yes, let's
All right,
do that.
it's your turn. You've been watching. I'm sure you have a ton of questions. They don't have to be related to the tanks that we looked at. They can be basic questions about breeding, about us, personal questions, like if they're not too personal. We'll be happy to talk to you guys about what's been going on with us. You can ask questions about your tank. You can, whatever questions you have, guys, this is your time. We're happy to chat back and forth with you. So Brooke is actually going to have the phone, and she will let us know what your questions are. So go ahead and send them in.
Man, it's hot in here. Okay.
Do you have any?
Oh.
She's just nodding at me. I'm like, this
this
is your time to shine, Brooke.
How do
Well,
we...
I asked for some questions over on Instagram, so we'll start with those while y'all get some questions rolling in. I bet it hasn't even updated on the live that you said yet, just barely, so
Okay.
we'll give them a few minutes. Let's see.
All right, so these are coming from Instagram. Earlier, we sent out a poll.
All right, first question. I think this is a good one to start. And it says, "What is your favorite part about having hermit crabs?"
My favorite part, honestly, in the beginning was just the challenge. It was the challenge. It was learning how poor the care guides were, incorrect information, and then trying to make it right.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
And I still like that part. I still like, taking, experimenting and finding the things that make it even better for them,
Mm-hmm.
and, just make their experience in the tanks better, more, I don't know. I think that's my favorite part.
I think I'd have to agree. Well, no, I'm not going to agree. My favorite part of owning hermit crabs is, gosh, I can't decide between cooking for them. I think that is so fun. I know Darcy agrees. Like
Yeah.
making meals for them is
Close
super
second, for sure.
super fun. And I also really enjoy decorating the tanks.
Mm.
When we were back in the super experimental part of our hermit crab phase, we just welcomed TikTok. Hi TikTok. We're
Hey,
live. Ask
guys.
us questions. When we were back in the experimental part, we were making new tanks like every 2 months. My favorite part was when we got to decorate them and try new things and make new backgrounds and discover new ways to use materials. I just think that's so fun.
I still like to
creative.
change it. I mean, our tanks have been pretty well set, but every once in a while I still take some things out and add some new things. And the hermit crabs seem to like that too. Almost like rearranging a room, in your own house. Just freshen it up and make something new for them to explore, and discover. So, and that's one of the reasons I love all the foraging too, is that can change often. And so then your crabs get more active to try and figure out, ooh, what's new? I smell something new.
Yeah.
And so it gets them out of their little hiding spots and exploring.
Absolutely.
All right, the next question we have is from Hunter. He says, "Hi, it says, we probably get tired of seeing his name, but that's not true. Don't worry. We do not get tired of seeing all his names. Actually, I think a lot of times when we see names coming up again and again, we're like, oh my goodness, y'all are such loyal fans."
Absolutely, we love it.
Yeah. All right, so this says, "Do you think bioactive tanks would be overall a better environment for the crabs since it would be so natural?"
Great question. So this is another, I think, advanced crab keeping method, and we do have plans to create some videos about bioactive tanks because, to be honest, we do have such a loyal following, you guys, that y'all have developed to the point of actually wanting to add these types of things. You guys are ready. We have a lot of the basics out there. We have our videos for all of those folks just starting their journey, and so we are starting to add content to our recording calendar where we're going to be upping kind of the care, right, and giving you ideas on adding live plants to your water pools, to your tanks, bioactive meaning cleanup crews and things like that. So to answer your question, Hunter, your question, I think bioactive tanks are awesome if you're ready for that level of keeping. Remember, now you're not just taking care of your hermit crabs, now you're taking care of all the other critters that you're adding, including live plants and things like that, and that's a whole nother level of keeping. And so for people who are ready for that and thirsty for that type of environment and keeping that up, I think it's amazing. It definitely will benefit your hermit crabs for sure. So look for videos coming up about that.
All right, the next question I have is, are all mites harmful?
No, not all mites are harmful, actually. We are planning on recording a video on mites this coming week because we get this question a lot.
All the time.
The little white ones that are most common, the food mites, you guys, that seem to multiply overnight and come out of nowhere, and there's a million of them, those aren't harmful to your hermit crabs, actually. And there are ways that you can mitigate them and keep them out of your tank, or at least, lower in population. And we're going to share that in our video next week. So keep an eye coming, in the next couple of months for, more about mites. But there are harmful mites as well, and we'll go over that. Those ones stick to your hermit crabs usually on the inside of their shell and their soft abdomen, and they're more red in color. And those ones are dangerous. Usually they will come from the beach shop with those because they were harvested from the wild with them. They're not usually a bad mite infestation that you can get in an established tank, which is another reason to do PPDS. It's another reason, even if you get crabs from a good environment, that you isolate them first to monitor them and check all of that out, so that you don't introduce something bad like that to your established tank.
Yeah. I'm looking right now at some of our TikTok people. We have Hales on here. Hi, Hales. We have Kappa Sigma. Hello, Kappa Sigma. Let's see. We haven't gotten any questions on TikTok yet. Do we have anything else from Instagram or YouTube?
Send questions, TikTok.
Let's see.
What do you guys want to know? They can be personal questions about us. They can be about our hermit crab setup. They can be about your hermit crab setup. It can be about videos that you want us to do in the future. Just send in your questions.
All right. The next question I have is from Allison, who we viewed her tank earlier. She asks, do crabs get paler, slightly get less active, and hang out close to pools when they're getting close to molting? What are your telltale signs?
Great question. Absolutely. We usually know when a crab is about to molt because you're absolutely right. They do get a little less active. They seem a little less like themselves. They might be eating a lot more, preparing for that molt. They can get kind of an ashy color to their skin, lose that vibrancy. Even sometimes the crabs will gloss over on their eyes, or kind of get like
cloudy,
a white, cloudy white film over their eyes. Those are all great examples of what a crab can look like before they begin to molt. The water pools, I don't know if have you noticed that?
Yeah, they do, because they intake that extra water to keep in their molt sac, which is another sign for you to look at. Deep inside of their shell, usually on the left side of the shell, is where you can find that molt sac. It's a very dark, almost black looking sac, kind of. It looks like a growth almost. That's their molt sac, and that's where they're storing all of that extra food and water to sustain them during their molt. And the other sign I would look for is extra digging. So, like, they'll dig down and they'll come up, and they'll dig down and they'll come up. They're finding that spot where they're eventually going to create their little molt cave, and kind of just practicing, if you will. And so that's usually a sign of molting as well.
Yeah. We have some questions on TikTok here, so let's get those. Our first question from Hales is it okay for a small hermit crab and a large hermit crab to be in the same tank? Absolutely, you guys. In the wild, they are in groups of thousands of all sizes. Our crabs range in size from pretty small to huge, massive brevies like this one. We are really tiny, little tiny babies that we're just done breeding. We don't quite mix those in with the large crabs, but you're not going to find a baby that small adoption-wise, so don't worry about that. But yes, they do
In
great.
fact, we have found through captive breeding that the little ones actually thrive and do better when they have the adult crabs with them. The things that you need to keep in mind, if that's something that you're going to be doing, is that obviously both the big crabs and the little crabs need to have shells in the correct size. They both need to have easy access in and out of your pools, which could look different for a small crab versus a big crab. So just keep those things in mind.
Absolutely. Also from TikTok, Kappa Sigma asks, how well would you say a hermit crab would do in a college dorm? Should I leave them at home? That's a great question, especially since Brooke and I are in college. So Brooke and I do not have crabs. Well, I don't even live in a dorm anymore. I have a house. But when I did live in a dorm, we did not bring crabs, not because it wasn't going to work, just because we didn't want to have to deal with that. Personally, from being in college, I think it would work just fine. Of course, every school has different rules on what kind of tank you can bring to college. There's usually a 10-gallon limit, And remember, you want 10 gallons per crab, and you don't want less than 2 crabs. So if you go to a school that has a 10-gallon limit, unfortunately, it's not really going to work because
It's not big enough.
it's not a big enough tank. But if you go to a school that doesn't have limitations like that, bring your setup. It's the same thing as it being, if it were at home. Especially if you can have a fridge and that's where you can keep your veggies and fruits and things like that. Absolutely. I feel like they're one of the easier types of animals to bring to college.
Yeah, just make sure also, you'll be mixing salt water. So I don't know if there's going to be some kind of rule about that. You don't want to dump it down the sink in your dorm because it can cause a lot of issues. So there are some definite, things you want to think about in advance if that's something that you would want to. I know there's like some
Christmas break.
Yeah. When you leave over the summer and Christmas, it's very difficult to move them because if they're molting, you can't dig them up and that sort of thing. So is it impossible? No. Is it the best idea? Probably not the best idea. If you already own them and you have to bring them with you, is it doable? Yes.
Absolutely. Great question. Is it okay if I don't see my Hermit active? Is it okay is a tough question because there are more factors that go into that for sure. Wow, we just hit 1,000 people on this TikTok live stream.
Woo!
Hey guys. So is it okay? I would say, okay, it's such a broad question. It depends on the circumstances. Is your crab acting lethargic? Is your crab eating? Is your crab moving at all? Or
how long have you had the crab?
Right.
All of those things. What's your heat and humidity? So you guys, we have videos, especially TikTok, we have videos on our YouTube channel on all these different aspects. So if you've never visited our YouTube channel, please go over there. We have so many care videos to help you guys out. But a non-active hermit crab, like Faith was saying, could be so many different things. It could be diet, it could be heat, humidity, it could be they need to molt. Do they have enough deep substrate in the right consistency? It could be that they're sick from wherever you bought them and they're just not healthy. And there's really nothing you can do about that. It could be that they're just new and de-stressing. There's so many things. The best thing would to go to that basic hermit crab care video and make sure that you're meeting the needs. Because if they're getting a balanced diet, they have fresh water and salt water, they have an enclosed environment that has heat and humidity, and you're meeting those basic things, then you can start to say, is my crab sick? Is my crab about to molt? Do I have enough enrichment? Like, is he just bored? Do I have enough places for him to hide where he feels safe? And those are the type of things you can kind of start to check off your list, just the process of elimination to figure out what could be the reason behind it.
Mm-hmm. Everyone who's just joined us here on TikTok, just so you guys know, we are live on TikTok and we're also live on YouTube. So we're taking questions regarding us, regarding hermit crabs, how to keep hermit crabs, anything you guys want. So we're jumping between those two platforms. Right now we're going to take a couple questions from YouTube and then we'll jump back to taking some TikTok questions.
All right. The next question I have is, can a hermit crab just be a bully? We have one crab that goes after the other crabs even though he has all the essential needs.
I have a quick answer for you. Yes, a hermit crab can just be a bully. Hermit crabs have distinct personalities. You will have your sweethearts, you will have your social butterflies, you will have your hermits that just like to stay in their spot, and you will have your bullies. If you notice that a bully is being too aggressive and actually harming your other crabs, we do have a video about hermit crab aggression that you guys can check out. I would absolutely use that as a resource because there are measures you need to take to keep your other hermit crabs safe. But yes, it is possible that you might just have a bully crab.
I will say over time though, even if that's their instinctual nature, which we have had a crab like that as well. It just kind of seems to be in a bad mood all the time. I do think for those types of crabs, more space is better. They might just be fighting for resources that they feel like they don't have enough of. So overcrowding a tank creates a bully crab really quickly. Not having enough shells not just shells, you guys. So if you're just going to Hobby Lobby and grabbing a multi-pack of natural shells, most of those are not shells that hermit crabs will actually use. You can still put them in your tank. They're beautiful. They can add to, the aesthetic. But when you're talking about shells that crabs wear to grow and live, if there aren't enough of the right kind and the right size for all of the crabs you have, that can cause aggression and bullying because they're fighting for the things they need to live. Same thing with food and resources. If you have only one dish and there's a lot of crabs and one particular crab just feels like he's not getting enough of that, or he needs to like clear the space and get all he needs first, so it looks like bullying behavior, maybe have 2 dishes on opposite sides of the tank to help mitigate that. Those are the things in the video that Faith was just talking about. Okay, I think the video is called like aggression or fighting or something like that.
Yep.
So check it out. We have a lot of suggestions on what you can do and how to help that situation out.
Yep. Just got a quick question on TikTok. Are you supposed to change the sand or the substrate? That's this stuff right here. No, you are not, unless you have some kind of fungal bloom, algae bloom, ant infestation, bacterial, anything like that. Flood. As long as your substrate is clean of anything like that, you can keep it for years, and you should keep it for years and years and years and years. It's a bioactive environment.
If you didn't love us before, you love us now. Yeah, that's the really cool part about doing your substrate the correct way. Again, we have a video about substrate. 5-to-1 ratio. You want 5 parts play sand, just regular old children's play sand. It's super cheap, like $5 for a 50-pound bag at Home Depot or Lowe's, okay, or on Amazon. So, and then 1 part Eco Earth. 5 parts play sand, 1 part Eco Earth. There's a reason that we use this mixture. It's been tested over decades, you guys, to be the best mixture to last for you. These tanks have been up for years. We have never changed the substrate. Yes, the crabs poop in it, but it becomes bioactive. First of all, if you don't know this, the hermit crabs eat the poop anyway, so a lot of it is already being eaten. But anyways, so it becomes bioactive, and you can add cleanup crews like springtails or some certain isopods, not all of them. Some are safe and some aren't.
Yep.
And so that kind of helps as well. So yeah, I mean, set up your tank in the right way, and you are good to go.
Hi, Skylar. Okay, let's see. Do we have any more YouTube questions? We have tons of questions on TikTok, but I want to make sure we're getting both of y'all here.
All right, Hunter asks, how much of an impact will being able to ship live Zoe make? And you might want to explain for the TikTok people who kind of knew what that means.
Okay, so really quickly, because this actually goes with the TikTok question we just got asked. Someone did ask, were we one of the first people to successfully breed hermit crabs in captivity? Yes, we were. Thank you for your question. And this question we just got on YouTube from Hunter pertains to that. So TikTok, if you didn't know, this summer, Darcy successfully brought many clutches of hermit crab babies to land in captivity. And a couple of them we were actually able to ship off to someone else to raise. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I was overwhelmed. We have 3 chrysals. All of them were full. We actually had 2 spawns in one of our chrysals already, and then I still was having more of our crab mamas were spawning, and I was maxed out. I couldn't do it. So we just had to try. We had to take the risk. And Hunter, you're right. It makes a huge impact in the whole breeding, industry. Like it's historic, honestly, because it's never been done before. So we actually partnered up with Petco and PetSmart, and they helped us with the oxygen to put the live Zoe in the fish bags. We packaged them into an insulated box so that they would stay nice and cool, and we overnighted them. So they were literally only in a box for about 12 hours because we did it in the very last shipment that went out UPS, and we had them delivered the very next morning. And they arrived live to their breeders. So it's huge because I'm only one person. And yes, our crabs are mating and breeding successfully and prolifically at a point where I can't even keep up. But other people want to be able to breed and raise these hermit crabs in captivity, but maybe their hermit crabs aren't breeding or they're not spawning correctly into the pools. So now we can expand the amount of people raising Zoe, which is huge. I'm so excited because it takes a lot of the burden off of the few of us that have done this. Yes, it will take some time, of course, because it took us several, over a year and a half, 2 years or something like that, many spawns to actually be successful. And that'll be the case for the new breeders as well. But the point is we have people that want to help, and we need more breeders if we are going to make a difference in the wild caught industry. So I'm so excited. We were able to successfully ship off purple pinchers as well as lilas. And the lilas that we shipped actually came to land. Mary Akers brought them to land. So we have 3 successful spawns of lilas on land that will be up for adoption in 2023. I'm so excited.
Yep. We just got a TikTok question, and this is a tricky one, you guys. Someone said, what do I do if I have a crab molting and my others are not in the sand and you have mites? So first and foremost, I would just make sure that they're a dangerous kind of mite. If it's a food mite, you don't need, unless it's a really bad infestation, you don't need to replace your sand, okay? So if we've had food mite infestations before, for sure, and what we do is we take the food out. We usually take anything on the top of the sand that we can easily take out, and we'll go ahead and wash it in brine treated water and just make sure that any of the mites come off of it. And then for weeks and weeks and weeks, we will just wipe around the edge of the tank and the sides of the tank and wipe those mites away, and we will continuously replace the food every single day so that the mites can't congregate there. Food mites are not dangerous for the crabs, they're just annoying, and they can become way too overpopulated, and then it's not good. So just something to think about. If it's a more dangerous mite, that's a different question. DM us on Instagram and we can help you with that.
Feeding dried foods will help as well, you guys, if you're having a big outbreak or infestation. Just feed dry foods. There's so many Etsy sellers that have great options out there. Just Two Old Crabs, one of our favorites. Hermit Grub is another one of our favorites. There's so many. So, I mean, we have links in our description as well. So,
we just got a donation from Patty again, so I just want to say thank
Thank you, Patty.
You're
Thank you so
awesome.
much. We really appreciate that. That is so awesome. You guys, we've also been getting some gifts on TikTok. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I just wanted to tell you guys on TikTok that any of the donations we received today is going towards our breeding program so that we can continue to work towards bringing hermit crabs to land, which is where this industry is headed. It's super important that we continue with that.
And going on that too, you guys had asked if we're one of the first. We were the third in America and I think the 8th in the world or 9th in the world.
Yeah.
But this past summer, we were also a part of mentoring another breeder that was successful in getting Ecuadorians to land. And so super excited. We are also, mentoring other breeders so that we can have more success. And so all of your donations help with all of that. So thank you guys so much.
Hi, Suzanne. Is saltwater required? I've never used saltwater, and I have had them for over a year. Okay, so your hermit crabs need fresh water and salt water. Yes, it is absolutely required. Think about where they come from. They're coming from places like the Caribbean, Florida, where there's massive beaches and huge oceans with salt water. Hermit crabs are born into salt water. It is an integral part of keeping them healthy. Yes, your hermit crabs have survived this year without it. They're not going to die in a day without salt water, right, you guys? But for them to truly thrive and for them to live a happy and long life, guys, they can live up to 40 years in captivity. For them to live life to the fullest, they do need both fresh water and salt water, and it needs to be deep enough for them to fully submerge in it and swim in it.
We have a video on our YouTube channel all about water. We have basics if you just want real basic pools, all the way up to very advanced pools. So check out that video for more information. And there are links in the videos, you guys, to all of those products that we use. So.
Okay, someone asked, have y'all ever ordered from Hermit Crab Grub on Etsy? Yes, we have. We love Hermit Crab Grub. We have tons of food from them, for sure. If you do not want to make your own dried food, or you don't want to go forage and clean your own foraging items, Etsy is a wonderful resource. There are tons of approved sellers on there that make cute dry food and foraging options for your hermit crabs, and we definitely use that in our tanks a lot.
And they're in the links of our description of our videos too. So if you don't want to go looking for them, just check out, like, our latest video on foraging has tons of links on there.
Okay, this is funny to me because this has nothing to do with hermit crabs, but we told y'all you could ask us anything.
Oh boy.
Someone asked us if we ever go to the bathroom and wonder if someone else famous is also going to the bathroom. I do that. I do that all the time. Or I'll be eating and I'm like, I wonder if Kim Kardashian is eating right now. So yes, absolutely I do that. I don't know if y'all do that. Drop it in the chat.
I cannot say that I do that.
What?
I don't think I've ever done that either.
You liar!
I've never thought that.
Whatever, Darcy's weird.
I'm not thinking about other people when I'm going to the bathroom.
Well, Wow.
All right, I have another question from YouTube over here.
Okay.
Username says, "Hi, I'm moving next week. I have a 55 gallon that cannot be moved without emptying it. I have to put my crabs into a holding tank to move my 55, but 3 of them are down. So what should I do?"
Yeah, moving, I mean,
It's not fun.
it's not fun. It happens, right? If you have to move, then that is one of the times where we would say, is it safe to dig up your hermit crab? No, not necessarily. Could something, bad happen in the process? Potentially. But you have to move. We understand that. It's part of life. And so have everything planned out ahead of time. You need to have a single isolation tubs, which the little critter keepers that you get your hermit crabs in work great because you can cover the lids with some saran wrap. So in the case that your crab that you dig up is molting, then you can put them in an individual tank so that sorry, we're moving TikTokers around. Anyway, so you can put them in the isolation tank. If as you dig up the crab, they're not molting and they've already finished their molt and they just happen to be like down under the sub, but they look healthy, they're that hairy crab that we had talked about, the thick legs, all that, and they're finished with their molt, then you can go ahead and put them in the tub with the rest of your crabs. So a storage tub works great for moving. The plastic storage tubs, you can put just a small amount of substrate because you don't want them to dig down while you're in transportation, right? Transporting them. So just a little bit, think PPS tank almost. Small amount of substrate just for comfort. All of the crabs that are not molting or have finished molting go into that tub, add their cork rounds, add some foliage, add, all of those things to help them feel safe. And then the ones that are molting when you dig them up, those need to be in a different isolated container, kept separate so that they can continue to eat their exoskeleton. Make sure that you include that in their ISO, okay? And then you're just going to feed them and give them water, probably in a dish rather than a filtered pool or something like that. Change it out every 2 days as you go through that process, and then set your tank up once you get to your final destination. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have more questions and I didn't answer your specific one, please go ahead and add more.
Okay, wait, we just got the comment that they couldn't hear us on TikTok. Can you hear us now? Yes. Okay, lovely. Here, let me set y'all up on this. I'm realizing we could probably see comments better if we had y'all set y'all up this way.
Alright, the next question I have is, I guess I have 2 you can answer kind of at the same time. It goes back to breeding, which I know we get a lot.
Okay.
So someone asks, will hermit crabs mate in captivity? Should I be prepared for my hermit crabs to have babies? And the second one is, have you ever thought about getting this far, breeding, keeping this many hermit crabs, and having a whole convention?
Okay. Whew, that's a lot of questions. All right, so can hermit crabs breed in captivity? Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've done it.
Yeah, so when you have an environment that is mimicking their natural environment, they will begin to feel safe and be healthy enough to reproduce in that captivity. That doesn't mean it will absolutely happen for you. In fact, a lot of people have crabs and they have great environments and their crabs don't mate, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're a bad crab keeper. For some reason, some do and some don't, all right? I do believe personally that space is a huge part of whether or not they're going to mate. Which is I think why our crabs do. We have a whole freshwater forest side of our tank all the way over to part of our build that looks like the ocean, and that's where our saltwater pool. So I feel like our crabs feel like they're out in nature, and that's why they're breeding so much. Mm-hmm. But potentially, yes, yours could breed in captivity if you are not wanting to raise them. Again, we successfully mailed them this summer, and so I would highly, highly, highly just encourage you, if you get Zoe in your saltwater pool, you can reach out to us and we can figure out a breeder that would be willing to receive your Zoe and try to raise them. Did we ever think we'd get this far in breeding?
No. To be completely honest with y'all, when we first started breeding, it was so discouraging because we failed and we failed and we failed and we failed over and over for years. And I think we got to a point right before we were successful where we all looked at each other and we were like,
can't do it anymore.
if we aren't successful this summer, we probably will toss the towel in because it was so expensive, and I cannot even express to you guys how much time it takes. We are up all hours of the night, all hours of the day. We are only in this room the entire summer. All we look at is the Chrysals. And when you do that for years and years and years and you have no success and you're losing all of these babies, it's really disheartening. And so, yeah, when we first started, I don't think we ever thought we would get to where we are now. And I think the same thing applies for our channel, you guys. I mean, I'm so thankful for the following that we have.
Yes.
We never expected this to come from hermit crab content. So, yeah.
It's really, really awesome and kind of surreal. We still look at our channel and we're like, wow, this is so cool. Like, it's our whole mission in starting as a family was just to educate people about the right way to take care of hermit crabs. And then it grew to become, wait a minute, like maybe we could make a bigger impact in helping the wild crabs. Maybe we can actually advocate for changing the industry. And so once our mission kind of grew to that, we knew breeding had to be a part of that, because that's going to be how we can make the biggest impact in the wild caught industry. And so we were like all in. We're gonna be all in on this and make it happen. And it was very discouraging, like Faith said. And you can watch our vlogs on breeding. Like, they're kind of brutal in the beginning, but yeah, now that we've had a success and we've changed a lot of things in our process, which you can see that on our vlog as well. It's a little bit more manageable than it was in the beginning for sure. And the more you do it, as with anything, you get better at it and things. You find systems and processes, but it's still a ton of work, a lot of hours that go into it for sure. But we're super excited, and it's crazy. I never dreamed we'd be here.
Yeah. I will say, guys, we do have to wrap up here soon. However, I just wanted to let TikTok know, and YouTube as well. We do YouTube lives pretty consistently. However, this is our first time going live on TikTok. So if y'all want to see more TikTok lives, let us know. We went live towards the end of our YouTube live here on TikTok. However,
yeah, actually we did tank reviews, you guys. Before TikTok came on, we were doing tank reviews. And so once we wrap this up, then it'll be live on our channel, and you can go back and watch the beginning of some different tanks and us kind of reacting to them. So,
yep.
All right, so do you want to do one last question?
We'll do one last question. We'll take one last one from TikTok, and we'll take one last one from YouTube.
Make it good.
Now I have to wait for some questions to come in.
Oh, send us one more question, guys. One more question. No more questions from anybody?
We have a lot here on TikTok that we can do. Let's see. I mean, someone wants a tank tour. Do you want me to just go around the room and show you all the tank?
Let's do it at the end. Let's answer a question and we can kind of just...
Yeah, it's...
Everyone wants that.
Yes.
We have a video on that too on our channel, guys.
Well... Yeah, we do have tank tours on our channel, in-depth tank tours on our channel.
Yeah, we have a really pretty tank tour, but sure, I'll go around and I'll show y'all. We'll do that.
It's kind of a mess in here, though.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess in the filming room because we're filming. But, okay, let me see if I can figure out how to turn this around, flip camera. Okay, this is our awesome tripod. Okay, so let's start, let's start here. Okay. Oh, there's her. So, this is where we
have...
keep...
So, our YouTube people can't see our tank tour.
Well, if you want us a tank tour, go to TikTok.
Alright, well, any questions on YouTube while Faith's showing the TikTok people a tour?
So those are like little coconut condos. This is where we keep our tiny little babies. And then there's also a tank topper up here for them to climb up.
No questions? Yeah, give me a
There's
question.
a little baby. And then move on. This is getting into our big build.
Someone asks, what do you think of isopods and cocktails?
Okay, isopods. TikTok, we're going to talk about isopods. What do we think about them? They're a great cleanup crew. They are safe to house with your hermit crabs. Again, we're going to do a video on this coming up pretty soon. There are definitely isopods that are not safe. Like my favorite isopods are the duckies. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. Those are my absolute favorite. I wish we could have ducky isopods, but they actually are diggers, and isopods also molt. And so they are not safe to house with hermit crabs because they dig down pretty deep when they molt. So instead, like zebra isopods are better, or the dairy cow ones are pretty good, I believe, as well. Your regular backyard isopods are good. So in our video, we'll list the safe isopods versus the not safe ones. But what you're basically looking for, powder orange or powder blues are really good. Those are safe. I think most people keep those ones with hermit crabs. Anyways, the ones that dig down pretty deep and are big protein eaters, those are ones that are not safe to house with your hermit crabs. Springtails are fabulous cleanup crews. They help with your mold as well. And so, springtails are a great bioactive bug to add to your crab habitat. Do you have any TikTok question? Last TikTok question.
They're just looking at our tank. That was their question. They wanted a tour. Oh, guys, look.
Let me get out of here. I'll scoot over here. Oh, they're eating.
Yeah, I'll show you all the crab shelf here in a second, because that's probably where all of our crabs are. Oh my gosh, YouTube is getting the real behind the scenes here. Hi, friends.
I don't know. Can I take that? Oh, no.
If you're on YouTube and you want to see more casual lives, like what we're doing here on TikTok, absolutely go follow us on TikTok. We're going to start doing some fun lives on here. This guy's
Look
like,
at these molters over here.
hold on. You can see TikTok back there. That's how a hermit crab eats. So they'll pick the food up and then they'll push it back towards their mouth there. No, these guys are not shy at all. Not at all. Here, let me open up the crab shelf for you guys. They might jump here. Yep, there they go. Run away! Oh, look. We have a friend back there as well. He's hiding. I told y'all, crabs like to hide. Alright, let's see if we can count how many friends we have up here.
Good. That's good because one of you two asks how many hermit crabs you have. So you want to.
How many hermit crabs we have in total? I mean, we're not including our captive bred babies because we have, well, I mean, I could tell you the difference in them. Okay, so in our tanks back here, total, last time we were up to 73, I believe. I did get one more, so I'm a teacher, most of you guys know that, so I had somebody drop one off in the school office for me, not this holiday season, but last Christmas before break. So that would bring us to 74. We still have that one. And so 74 in our big build. And then captive babies, I have to think about this. So we had, I think we might be up to like 60 or 65 captive babies total. So I know that seems really low because we got so many spawns to land, but we get on average, it seems like about 25 to 35 per spawn to land. Lilas are pretty tricky. They kept leaving their shells once they came to land, and so that's definitely something that we're still working on learning about. We're the first to get the lilas to land. Second to get lilas to land, I think. Yeah, Tammy was the first. So anyways, there's still a lot to learn about each different species in breeding and how they choose shells, how long they stay in a transition tank, how long they stay in the chrysal. For example, lilas have a very, very short larval stage, 6 days from spawn to megalopa, 6 days. It's awesome. I love it. However, they take forever in the transition tank. like 45 days in the transition tank, which we were gathering that data and that information throughout the summer. And Mary, taking on the male Delilahs, actually developed that information more for us. And so we were probably rushing them in the beginning based off of our experience with purple pinchers and what we knew from that. And so I think because I was rushing them to land, they were leaving their shell. And so Mary decided to go ahead and just leave them in longer and see what happened, and she ended up getting more to land by doing that. So like I said, every single spawn that we do brings in more information, and we learn a lot more from that. So
absolutely. Yep. And then I did just show the molters down there. That's what that was. You saw crabs in the sand, and yes, those are, well, they might not even be molting then. It might just be digging. You never know.
Although a lot of our crabs molt during the winter, so
yes.
Yep. All right, you guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Again, if you aren't already subscribed to our channel or subscribed to our TikTok, guys, please do that. It helps us out tremendously. You know, the algorithms. So the more people that we can have subscribed, the more these platforms push out information, which means the more people get educated about how to care for their hermit crabs. And that's the way that you guys can help advocate and educate as well, just by subscribing and sharing all of this content so that we can reach more people. And so we thank y'all for that very much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for submitting your tanks, YouTube, and thanks for all your questions.
All right, we will see you guys in the next live. Thank you so much. Like I said, we're going to make this a regular thing. All right, bye guys.
You stop it by pressing stop on the right hand side. You see it?
We're still going YouTube. All right, bye.